What's going on, guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time, like and subscribe to the channel. Today I want to be talking about dating in Medellin, Colombia, just in Medellin, obviously. And I want to talk about my experiences. Hopefully it helps some of the guys that are coming over here what to expect, and what things to do around the areas. So the first thing that you should know is that two important things that you should know if you're going to come over here and you're going to try to go out with some of the women here in the city is that they work a lot. They're working about 6 days a week, and when they get days off, it's never on the weekends. And another thing to know is they could be kind of flaky sometimes. It's part of their culture. So if they don't show up the first week or even the second week, don't take it personal. It's just the way they are here. And not all the girls are like that. Some will show up on time and be like, oh, they'll show up when they say so. But I think those are two important things for guys to know. You have to have a lot of patience, I think, when it comes to dating here, because sometimes the girls do work a lot, and when you do go out with them, like I said, on the weekends they usually work half days, but they're still working. So that's something to think about. And they do go out, it's usually at night, around 5, 7 or later. When they get days off, it's usually a Monday off, a Tuesday, a Wednesday. Is never the weekends, or sometimes they might get a Sunday off or something like that. But usually those are the days that they get off. Some girls even work all days, because they have families to support. So if you watch the other videos that I posted, I think my other friend was saying she works 7 days a week, and she really doesn't have any time. So some girls are really busy. You have to understand that too. And you do go out, be aware that they're known for being a little bit flaky. So not all, like I said, not all of them are like that, but some are like that. They'll be like, oh, I'll show up this weekend, and at the last minute, they won't show up. So so that's just the way it is over here. So you gotta be patient. Areas where you could go on date, like I talked about in my other videos, most Americans obviously stay in Colorado. I think 80% of the tourists stay there, or maybe even 90%. Not too many. I feel like the only people that live in other areas in Medellin are the expats. But I think one good area about Colorado is the restaurants. I think you do come with a girl and you do a date or whatever, the restaurants there are pretty good. There's some nice restaurants there. Also they have some nice bars. But I wouldn't recommend the clubs there, because it's let's be honest, it's full of working girls, and you take a girl there, she might feel a little bit uncomfortable. So I think it just depends on your budget. Also, you could do some nice things go to Loretta's. Loretta's also have some nice restaurants. La 60, Calle 70 is a very popular street. It's an avenue full of straight avenue full of bars, clubs. That's where all the locals go to. So you want to get a good feeling of the Medellin. I recommend there, because Colorado is just, to me, it's too touristic, too expensive. Whatever you spend in Loretta's, you're gonna spend double in Colorado. Let's say you spend $60 on a bottle in Loretta's, you're gonna spend $100, 120, 130 in Colorado. So that's something to take into consideration. Some of those bars there in Colorado are really expensive too. I think I've gone to almost half the bars there, and just some are cheap or regular, and then some are just really pricey. So that's something to take into consideration. But dating here is very easy. You could definitely meet people here either in the streets, through dancing, to Tinder. A lot of people use Tinder here, but I feel I like meeting people in person. So to me, I think meeting people in person is a lot easier. You could go to Calle 70, and you could definitely meet local girls over there too. I think it's very easy to get dates over here. But the thing is, like I said, the girls here can be a little bit flaky. So that's something that you have to understand. But the women here are very friendly, down to earth, very nice. If you meet friends here, it's friends for life. They're very humble people, the girls and the guys here. But if you're dating here, be aware that most of the women here, unless they're going to university, they don't speak English. So you're probably gonna have to use Google Translate and stuff like that. There are also an influx of Venezuelan people here, Venezuelan girls. So you might meet some of those. I haven't really met any of those type of girls here in Medellin. I've dated some, but in the Caribbean, when I was living in the Caribbean. And I could tell you Venezuelan girls, I've gone out with maybe 5, 6, and I met maybe between 10 or something like that. But I would say I stayed friends with just half of them, and the other half, Venezuelan women can sometimes be a little bit, what's the word? A little self-entitled sometimes. Some of them have been known for being a little bit grimy, I have met those that say like, you know, they don't have boyfriends, but they do have boyfriends. So that's something that comes with like with dating them and shit. Like I think most of the Venezuelan girls that I met have been very nice, been very friendly. But you know, I met some here that work their asses off too. You know, like they don't like really go out and stuff like that. But it just depends though. You know, like I think, you know, you're gonna meet good and you're gonna meet bad people no matter where you go at. And I think most of the people that I met here, like overall, have been like very friendly, very down to earth. You can meet, like I said, like once you make those connections, you know, like it's gonna help you a lot. Like you could meet like a girl and she can invite you somewhere, like, oh, you know, I want to go drink with my friends, or we want to go to a finca, and then you meet even more people like that. So the girls over here are very friendly. Like you'd always be like, oh, you know what, bring your friends or whatever, and they'll do it. You know, so it's always like, you know, Medellin people and shit, like the paisas, they always like to go out in groups. So that's a good thing about them. So like you meet one girl, the next day you're like, well, you know what, like, you know, bring your friends or whatever. Like they'll bring their friends. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's just like here it's like easier to meet people. It's very difficult for you to come over here and not to make friends, you know, as far as like, you know, dating or even just like, you know, friendships is concerned. But if you're gonna date some of the women here, man, it's great. They're like, they look after you, you know, they care about you, you know, once you get to know them. And you know, like when you leave, you know, they'll be hitting you up like, when are you gonna come back? Those are the type of people that you meet here in Medellin. That's why so many people that come over here fall in love with the city, because you know the love that, you know, the city regenerates towards, like, you know, the people that come over here. So I've never had any issues with none of the girls or guys that I met here, you know. But of course, you know, you're always gonna meet bad and good people no matter where you go at. So that's something to take into consideration. But as far as dating is here, like you shouldn't spend more than $50 on a date. Like if you go to Loretta's, like actually I've never spent more than 35, 40. But you go to Prado, you're gonna spend double. You're gonna spend $80, maybe even to $100. It's very expensive. Like I said, there's some really nice restaurants in Prado, and so you could definitely go there. And then from there you could go to like Loretta's or something to go drink, because it's cheaper. You know, like when I go drink in Loretta's, like I never spend more than $35. Even when I was like somebody else, like it's like $40 the max, which I think is pretty cheap, you know. Or you could get a bottle for like $40-50, a rum bottle or something like that. And the type of music they play here is usually reggaeton. It's mixed with everything, honestly. Reggaeton, merengue, bachata, but it's mostly reggae. And you know, another important thing is you should probably learn how to dance, because the women over here love to dance. I think that's an important thing. Learn how to dance bachata. You could take classes here. You could take salsa. You could take bachata classes. It's not hard to find. And you know, because the girls here do love to dance. Like it's rare for you to see a paisa just sitting down at the table the whole night. Like they're gonna get up and they're gonna dance. So that's something that you want to learn, you know, if you come over here, because you don't want to be boring and just sit down just drinking your beer like this. You know, like, nah, you want to be adventurous. So, you know, be aware of that. Some of the girls here too, you know, they do talk to other Americans. So you might meet a girl that's, you know, talking to other Americans. The way that I could tell usually is just ask them up front. Like I think, you know, for the most part they're honest about it, you know. So like, you know, be aware of that. She might be talking to other Americans. You might not be the only one. So that's why I kind of like don't like using Tinder. I'd rather meet them in person, because I feel like the girls that you meet in person, especially like if you go to like, you know, Loretta's area, like they're pretty not talking to no other Americans, you know. So that's what I also recommend. But you go to Prado, you might meet a girl that's like talking to several Americans. You might not be her only option. So that's like, I'm just being honest, you know. But it just depends though. You just want to make friends here, or you just want to go on dates or whatever, it's definitely easy. But I also say that you can't just come here in 1 week and be like, oh, I want to meet these girls, or I want to meet these people. Like I think when it comes to like any country, especially here, I think you need at least like a month. So, but I think like once you establish yourself, like most guys that I met that come over here, I met a lot of guys that come over here, they're supposed to stay 2 or 3 weeks, they end up extending 2 or 3 months up to 6 months. I met several guys that have done that. Actually, a lot of guys that have done that. A lot of, and women too. I met some women that have done that too, that have come over here and loved it so much that they come back here as soon as they can. So it's not just men that I've met that love this city. I've also met a lot of women that love this city as well. Younger and older women love the city here. They love the vibes here. They love the nightlife. They love the culture here. You know, like, but once you get, you know, I feel like 1 month in Medellin is good enough. But you could also do a lot of things outside the city. You could go to Guatapé. You could go to a finca. And so, you know, so you could also take your date over there too once you get to know her. You know, it's not that expensive either, you know, to go to like, you know, outside the city. It's very cheap. Transportation is cheap. Even like getting a plane ticket to go somewhere else is very cheap as well. But I think as far as dating concerned is here is just very cheap here, not expensive. 30, 40 bucks, like I said, max should be it. And the girls here love to have fun. They love to go out there full of life. I recommend going to as many areas as Medellin as possible. I don't just recommend, just stay in Paradas, go to Loredes if you can. Go to, Avenida 33. You have a strip of clubs there too. Get the local feel, try to meet, local people. Because once you meet the local people, they're going to help you out so much. Like if you ever get to some issues, they could give you recommendations, like places to go and stuff like that. And they'll tell you, let's go over here. Let's go to this area outside the city. And so you start learning more about the outside of Medellin, or even inside when you meet local people. That's why I think dating is so important here and meeting people, because the more you learn, the more it's going to make your experience here, and more things you're going to be able to do besides just going to a club on the weekend or whatever. I think that wraps it up as far as dating. And I think as far as I've dated in several different countries, but I think Medellin, Colombia has been one of my favorites, just because the people here are so full of life, so I think that's important. And even if you meet just guys here, they'll bring their friends. And I met girls like that too. I meet a guy and he'll bring his his homegirls and 4 or 5, and you get their numbers. That's another way too of meeting girls here too. So that's something to don't be I don't want to go out with this guy. You should, because if he brings his female friends, you're gonna meet them. That's how I make my connections here. So not just through, I don't even like using Tinder, if I could be honest. I'd rather meet people in person, but that's just me. But I could understand, if somebody doesn't have that much time coming over here. So I hope this video helps you out, and I hope you learn something from it. And I want to be doing some more interviews with some of my friends, so you could get one-on-one advice from the people that live here, not just from me. I think that's important. And I hope you like it and subscribe to my channel. And until next time, guys.